know this is probably a strange question given the standings, but when the team you're playing has so many players out and so many big names out, do you have to tell your team that, you don't take your foot off the gas or anything? Are you worried about that at all?
And when we may be flat for another reason, but we have no right whatsoever to look at any team and say, hey, overlook them, or whatever. Now, again, it may be for a different fatigue or whatever else, but as far as looking at their team, their second unit is still, Rondo's won a championship, still has juice. Pat Patterson, I had him in Toronto. I know what he can do as a player. Luke, he doesn't have to do a lot except what he does best is shoot the ball. So they have some very talented players. Marcus Morris, one of the top, one-on-one scorers. Batum. So they've got a lot of firepower that, they may be on the second unit with that team, but they would be starting for a lot of teams in the NBA. So hopefully they got the message from, we made that point clearly, hopefully, to our guys. But if we have a letdown, it's going to be, travel or whatever else. It shouldn't be from overlooking another roster.
We'll go to Rod Beard.
Dewane, with 18 games left, do you kind of map out things that you want to see or the specific things for certain players that you want to see and just how you want to round out the rest of this season?
Well, again, you're finding our shooting. We got to develop and continue to develop three-point shooting within our roster and how we get them the ball, how we create those. That's something I want to see offensively, defensively. Confrontation, one-on-one, I thought we played very soft in LA the other night. They were bumping us off as they was driving to the basket, had 17 second chance points, which is another area of not being, physical in the paint. So that's what I want to see from the defensive standpoint, some physicality, rim protection. I think they shot 80% at the rim the other night. So all those things from a defensive standpoint start with the word physicality. And offensively, making sure we understand where our kickouts are, where our outlets are, to most of all generate our three-point shooting.
I think you said earlier that you liked Sadiq's defense, and I think you said coming in that he was probably more focused on the defensive end. Do you remember what that was? That you thought, was he more focused on the defense when he came in, on his defensive play and picking up things defensively?
One thing he impressed with at first, Rod, was his defense because he was physical. He was getting into people, bumping people, hitting people. So he, usually rookies don't want to touch anybody. So he impressed me with that first of all. Then along came his three-point shooting. He's been stellar with him. Again, he's going to be that steady Eddie for a long time in his career, and his next step is to put the ball on the floor, maybe run some pick and rolls, continue to get better at guarding pick and rolls. That's going to be his growth pattern, but. We're very excited. I'm very happy and excited to have Sadiq on our roster.
In terms of IQ and just picking up things quickly, have you noticed that also with Sadiq?
And again, I said this to nauseum. Villanova players are ready for the NBA the way Jay teaches. He teaches an NBA system, and he's NBA ready coming in. And talking to Kyle, that's how they play. That's what he teaches. So you know what you're getting when you get a talented Villanova player.
We'll go to Lamar.
Hey, Dewane, good to see you again. Sunday night when you were in LA, it seemed like that game was a track meet. Whoever decided that they wanted to play defense for an extended period of time first was going to wind up winning that game, and that's what happened. But how encouraged were you by the offensive performance of your team, and how does Jeremy Grant, Killian Hayes figure into what you might want to build off of from Sunday night?
Well, again, you were in the locker room or in the huddle throughout the game. I was saying it the whole game. The first team that decides to play defense is going to win the game, and unfortunately, the Clippers did down the stretch. We didn't close out the fourth quarter. They got into us, and we made some tough decisions. So. They did first, and they're a big-time offensive team, starting with Paul George, and I can only imagine when they get Kawhi out there with those guys. So, with our team, I think we're, a lot of it starts with a three-point shooting, and that's what we did that night pretty well. with Wayne in the lineup, starting it out, and then Josh was knocking down his threes. So that kind of got us going. When we can make threes like that, that helps us. Believe me, and that's the new NBA, and that was the difference in the game. And Jeremy can do that also. Jeremy can also create a three because he can get into the paint. He's long enough to kick it out and find the open shooter. So he does it from that way. And then also, too, he gets the probably most efficient shot. He gets to the rim. So he's a big piece. And Killian is still learning. He's still learning the NBA. I think he's coming. The hip thing really just set him back a little bit. And he's still on the fly. He's probably a couple of steps behind Sadiq and Saban, those guys, as far as understanding and knowing fully what the NBA is all about.